So today we'll be discussing 2 points. First one is what is the intruder, and how the second point is how you can utilize the intruder functionality in BurpSuite. Okay, so it's part of BurpSuite only. So let's get into it and let's see where exactly you see the intruder functionality in BurpSuite. So let me start, open my BurpSuite. Here you have on the fourth tab you have intruder. Okay, now we'll be referring to our vulnerable website, that is testphp.vulnweb.com. So before we do that, let's open our BurpSuite browser, embedded browser, only from here by clicking here, and then we'll be accessing that vulnerable website so that I can show you how exactly we are supposed to use it. So right now you can see I have not turned on the intercept, so we are like whatever request we are accessing in the browser, we won't be seeing it under the intercept section here. Okay, but it will be visible under the HTTP history, because whatever we access in our embedded browser or BurpSuite, that will be always stored in the HTTP history. So let's see, let's open our testphp.vulnweb.com. As soon as we access it, you see that there is a GET request to this particular endpoint, right? This particular website on this particular slash path, right? Now, how you can utilize the intruder functionality? Okay, how you can send a particular request to intruder. Okay, before we get into that, let me explain just in brief what is intruder. Using intruder, what you can do, you can modify a certain part of the request, okay, based on your requirement, and you can automate the whole thing. For example, um, suppose there is a request, okay, and in that request, it's a post request, so there is a body in that request, and in that request there is a username parameter, and the username that is going is like username equals to admin. Okay, that request is being sent to the server. Now what you want to do, you want to send different usernames. Instead of admin, you want to send 100 other usernames uh, to the server. Okay, using that request only, like one by one you want to send different usernames, but you do not want to do it manually, because if you do it manually, it's going to take a lot of time, right? Because then what you will have to do, you will have to intercept the request, or like, yeah, intercept the request, or maybe from HTTP history you will have to send that request to repeater, and then from repeater, suppose if there is a username field here, right, then again and again you will have to change it. Like now you are sending username as test, then again you have to click on test, then again like whatever it is, like administrator, right? So each and every time you have to make a change, you have to do it manually only. And it's if it's like there is a pattern, or suppose just assume if you are able to store all those usernames in a file, and if you are able to load that file and do it automatically, like pick up the username from that file one by one and put it in the request and send it, then it's going to save a lot of time of yours. So that's what intruder provides us. Okay, this is the kind of functionality you can achieve with intruder. So let's take a simple example of it. In future, when we'll be trying to look for different vulnerabilities, it will be more clear, but for the time being I will just explain. um, Simple functionality. Let's right now, here we have a search functionality, right? Let's see if whatever we search, is it being sent to the server. So let's search for testing. We click on go. You see that when we search for testing, a post request is being sent to the server. Let me maximize this one for better visibility, and it's a post request being sent to this website on this particular path, right? Search.php, there is a test equals to query, and to this request there is a request body. In the request body, whatever we are searching, it is being sent into a parameter called search for. Also there is a go button parameter, for which the value is going as go. Okay, we are not interested in this part, because like it's simply like we have clicked on the go button, that's all. But this is the part that we have provided. Now what if I want to search for 100 different terms? Okay, one way of doing it would be like searching it again and again and look for the results, right? Another way that I could do is I can send this request to repeater, right click on it and send it to repeater, and then here in the repeater I keep changing this. Like right now it is searching, sending the request with a testing keyword. Now I want to search for test only, and again I have to click on send, right? Then what I can do, I can click on render. So it will render that HTML code and it will show if we have got some results for test. So as you can see, there are no results for test. If we search for admin, again we send the same request to the server. Server will again respond us with some HTML code. HTML code, if we render, we can see that there are no results for this one as well. But now if I have to do it 100 times, it's going to take a lot of time, even with repeater. Okay, even if I do it with repeater, or even if I do it here manually through the browser, it's going to take a lot of time. Now here comes the use of intruder. With intruder, what I can do, I can make this part, right? This part only we want to change in the request, and we want to change it with 100 different requests, right? So what I can do in the intruder, I can make this part as a dynamic. What I mean by dynamic, like only this part will change in the request. Okay, rest of the whole request will remain same, only this part will change in the request. Okay, and then that this part is going to change based on the values that we are providing. Okay, so let's take a live example now. Now what I can do from here as well, like from repeater itself, I can right click and send it to intruder, or from like our proxy and HTTP history as well, I can send that request to intruder. So I will be sending it from here, from HTTP history. Right click on it, send it to intruder, or you can press Ctrl I as well once you select any request. Okay, so send it to intruder. As soon as we send it, intruder lights up, means request is received in our intruder section. Now let's try to understand what is here actually. Let's talk about, first of all, there is a sniper attack. Okay, we'll discuss what are the different attacks here. There are 4 different types of attacks, but for the time being we'll just leave it as sniper. Okay, automatically it took that what is the target website from this request only that we have forwarded to intruder. Now here, whatever part you are seeing in a bit of green, okay, as automatically BurpSuite is assuming that these parts we want to change dynamically, but we do not want to change all these parts dynamically, right? We only want to change this part as dynamic, like change its value based on different values. So to remove all of these parts, whatever is mentioned by BurpSuite automatically as dynamic part, we will click on the clear part here. So we click on clear. Now there is no dynamic part here. If I run the intruder attack right now, it will send this request exactly without changing anything. Like it's not even going to change our search for a string. It will keep it as testing only. But what we want to achieve right now, we want to keep changing the testing, right, with different values. So now what I can do, I want to make this part as dynamic. So I double click on it. I select it now in orange. Now you just click on add. So wherever you add a kind of a parameter or make it dynamic, okay, that part is only going to change from this request. Okay, so that's all what we have to do here, because we want to change only this part, rest of the request we want to keep same. Now we move on to the payloads part. Now under the payloads, what we have to mention, we have to mention what are the values we want to pass in that dynamic part. Okay, so what 100 values if we want to pass, we have to mention it under the payload section. So under payloads, you see by default the payload set is 1. Payload set 1 means like there is only one part of the request that we are trying to change, like only one dynamic part. So that's why that part is the first one only. Payload type is simple list, means a list of strings or a list of words. Okay, now I want to put different values in that place, right? So we discuss about 100 values. One way of doing it, suppose you have a notepad file. In that file you have test, testing, admin, administrator, just a moment, and whatever it is, 1 2 3 4 5 6, whatever it is. Okay, suppose you have these many values that you want to search for. Now I'm giving less number of entries here, but even if it is 100 or 1000, you can make it work same way. You can control a copy here. Okay, you can directly click on the paste button. It will directly put all those lists here in your payload options. So now this is the list actually that one by one our intruder is going to send. In the first request it will send test in this place, because this is the only dynamic part. Then it is going to send testing. Again it will send admin, like this. Okay, now even if you want to put a lot of values here, you can do so. Even if it is 1000 values, it will work. Okay, Now if you want to clear this list, you can click on clear, like if you do not want to send anything. Another way of doing it is, like earlier we copied it from a file or from wherever you want to, you can copy and paste directly. Only thing is, each entry should be in a different line, that's all. Okay, so that's how it should be whenever you're copying something from somewhere. Another way is you can put values manually here and click on add here. Okay, so like test, then admin, you click on admin, or you can press enter as well, that is also going to work. So you can put values manually as here as well. Okay, so testing, okay, like this. But I am again going to clear from here. I was just showing how you can do it manually as well, but I will just copy from here, I will paste it here. Now we have how many values here? 7 values. Okay, you can also see the payload count here, like how many values we have. Okay, that like payload, how many different values are there, okay, for that we are going to send to the server in this particular dynamic part. Now that's all. Okay, for the basic part we are only going to keep it like this. And now see, once I click on start attack, it will, you just click on OK. Here you will see one by one it's going to send all those values, and if I look at each and every request, you will find out the difference. Okay, so the first request, in the first request it by default sends whatever was there. Okay, like it doesn't add our payloads. Okay, after that only it will start adding those payloads. So in the first request actually it will send whatever was there before we added the dynamic part. Okay, so earlier it was testing, so it will only send. Here you see there is no payload sent, so that's why you see the default value as testing only. But now once it adds the payload test, so now you can see that it sent test in place of testing. When we have the payload testing, it is sending testing. When we have payload admin, it is sending in the search request admin as such. Then when we have administrator, same way, same goes for all other ways. So now what did we achieve? Now if there is a functionality like searching for different kind of keywords is going to give us different results, right? Now let's see if we click on response, right? So when we sent a request searching for test, let's see what is the response. Let's try to render it. We didn't find anything. Now if we are already selected in response, if I click on testing, it is going to now keep trying to render the response of testing part. Okay, like where whichever tab we have selected. Okay, if we keep moving on to the other request, it will show us that particular tab content only. For example, right now we are under request, so if we select different request from here, it will show the request of all those different entries. Okay, if I am under response part, and under the response I am under render, and if I click on different request, it will show me the response. Okay, by rendering it, so for all these requests. So once you click on it, you will be able to render whatever the response of that particular request is. Okay, so we don't get anything, but I was just trying to show you how you can send different requests without doing it manually. Okay, how you can make a particular part of the request dynamic. Okay, so that it sends different value. You can close it, discard it. Okay, so that was about the sniper attack. Okay, you can see from here as well that it only accepts single payloads. Means if you want to make only single part of the request as dynamic, okay, then what you can do, you can use this sniper attack. Okay, it will always allow you to make only a particular part. Now if I try to make this part as dynamic as well, okay, let's see if, yeah, see, even though I selected this part and clicked on add, like make it dynamic, and I go to payloads and I try to select that second payload. Now like the first would be this one, second would be this one, but it is not allowing me to do so because sniper attack doesn't allow it. Okay, it with it you can only make only single part of the request as dynamic. Okay, so yeah, so what I will do, I want to remove it by being dynamic, so I will select it, I can click on that part only, so it will remove that dynamic, or like it will not consider it as a dynamic part. Okay, so now still we have a single part as dynamic only. Now let's discuss about what is the difference in all of these. Sniper we have already discussed that it only allows you to make only one part of the request as dynamic, What is battering ram? I will try to explain it like this. Okay, with battering ram, what you can do, uh, battering or ram attack, what you can do, suppose you have to make different part of the request dynamic, okay, but with the same value. Okay, just listen to that carefully. You have to make different part of the request dynamic but with the same value. Suppose there is one more parameter, I'm just adding it here, like ampersand, and like you have a parameter called searching, and then there was a value like whatever it is. Okay, now what you want to do, you want to make this part as dynamic as well. I will put it like, I will make it dynamic, but in place of both of these values, okay, you want to put the same value. Like if we are putting from our payloads, right, we are putting admin, then in both the places it should be replaced by admin. Then if you are putting test in our payload, it should be test. Okay, like there should be no change. So whenever we want to put same values at different dynamic locations, you can use battering ram. It here also you can read a bit of about it. Okay, this uses a single set of payloads, like a single payload will be provided, but it will put that same payload at different places. Okay, so that's what you can do. I will show you right now. We have selected two parts at dynamic. Okay, and I will select the battering ram attack. Okay, now I go to payloads. Here again under the battering as well, you can see only one payload is there. Why? Because whatever value we are going to provide under the one payload only, that will be replaced for both the location at once. So now suppose we have these 7 values here only. Now if I start the attack, what you will see that both the places in the first request will be replaced by test, then both the places replaced with testing. Okay, let's see how it works. So this is our first request. You can see both the places are replaced with test, right? Then if we talk about testing request, both the requests are having both the parameters are having the value testing. Now if we talk about admin, both places are replaced with admin. Okay, so if you have to put the same value at different locations, then you can utilize the battering ram attack. Now let's talk about pitchfork. Using pitchfork, you can put different values at different places. Okay, but I will give you an example. Okay, suppose first parameter is this search for, right? And for this, suppose earlier we had a value of testing. Another parameter is login, and then there is a like another value here. Okay, this is the parameter name, this is the value, this is the parameter name, first part, this is its value. Okay, so there are two different parts going in the response request body. Okay, now what if you want to put different values here, like here also you have to put a different value, here also like here you want to put search keywords, here you want to put usernames. So what you can do, you can create two payloads. Okay, two payload positions, and in the first one what values we are going to pass, like here we are passing search keywords, so like testing, test, 1 2 3, right, 1 2 3 4 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, so this would be, these values would be sent in our payload 1, which is going to be this part. So this part will be replaced with testing, then test, then 1 2 3, like this. Okay, then second part we are going to send usernames, so like admin, administrator, root, or tom, right? These are going to be sent in payload 2. Now there is a catch here. When we are going to send the first request, right, using these payloads, it is going to send testing in place of search for, and then in the login part it will send admin. Like it will take a combination of first part from here, first part from here. Okay, like the first payload from payload 1 and the first payload from payload 2. That's how it is going to, like it will take a pair. Okay, straight like this. Like if it is sending the second request, it will send test in the search for, and it will send administrator in the login parameter. Okay, So similarly, like it will take one entry from each payload. Okay, let's see how it works. So right now, as you can see already, we have two dynamic part here, search for as testing or 1 2 3, right? uh, so this is how it is. Let's select our pitchfork type here. And now if we now we have two parts here. If we go to payloads, you can see now we have two payload sets. Okay, so first payload set, what I am going to put, I am going to put these random values here because these are the search part. So in the search part we want to send these values, right? Testing, test, all this. So I will clear these values. In the payload first I am going to put testing, test 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, and then 7 8 9. Okay, so these are the possible values for first part. Okay, first dynamic part. Then select the second one from here. You can see there is no values here. For that we want to put like feasible usernames. So suppose that could be admin, root, tom, test, test 1 2 3. Now just make sure you have equal values, okay, among both of these, because each value, like from every payload set will be selected and then the corresponding value from another payload set would be selected. Okay, for example, now if we are going to start the attack, what it is going to do, it will send testing as a search word and admin as the sorry, this was login. We are just assuming it that there is a login parameter. So in the login it would send admin. In test in search string it would send testing. Let's start the attack and let's see in practical. So see, you can see there will be only 5 requests, even though we have added, like around 10 values in both the payloads, but you see 5 only. Why? Because from every payload set it is picking up the first value, and from the other one also it is picking up the first value, putting it in the request and then sending it. Same way it is doing for the second request, third, fourth, fifth. You can see for this fifth request it sent 789 from payload set 1, and it sent test 1 2 3 from payload set 2. Whatever was there on the fifth part, okay, on the fifth row, that's what you can say. So pitchfork will always combine the corresponding values from both the payload sets. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, now let's talk about the cluster bomb. Okay, cluster bomb is something that you will be using whenever you are trying to brute force the login panels, or like in other functionality as well, but mostly it is used in brute forcing the login panels or some kind under other kind of functionality. Now we have not discussed brute force in a lot of details, but what it means is, suppose you want to crack um, like you do not have valid credentials of a website, and you want to find out valid credentials, and you know for sure that the username, possible usernames are root or admin. Okay, you know that one of these is valid. Okay, but you are not sure which one. Okay, also you know that the one of like the possible password or like valid password is it could be 1 2 3, it could be 4 5 6, it could be 7 8 9, it could be test, it could be testing, it could be password, right? So these all are possible passwords, these are possible usernames, but now you don't know which one is the valid username, also you do not know which one is the valid password. So now how many attempts you have to try? If you do it manually, you have to send with root username, you have to log in with 1 2 3 4 5 6, you have to send 6 requests, right? You have to put root and then put these 6 passwords to check whether any of these is valid for root user. Then again you have to, if you do not found any valid password for root, then you have to check for admin user, again 6, right? So now you have to attempt around like 6 plus 6 12 attempts. So that's going to, like, it's still not a large number, but we can do it automatically as well in case you have a lot number of users and passwords. Okay, so how we can do it? So it's like how it is different from this pitchfork attack is, for every value in payload 1, okay, like the first dynamic part, it is going to try every other value from the other dynamic part. Okay, like for root it is going to try all these values. Okay, earlier with the pitchfork, how it was, for root it will only try the first value, for admin it will only try the second value. These rest, because corresponding values are missing for the in the username part, it's not going to try these. So pitchfork, every value in the first payload set will be tried with every uh, other value from payload set 2. Okay, that's what you can say. Now let's see how we can do it. Again, I will show you on the login screen itself. Okay, so on, let me clear this history. I want to just look at the login request. So on our browser, on our BurpSuite browser, let's go to sign up. Here let's log in with test login. Even though, yeah, because we know actually test and test is valid, so that's why we got into directly. But suppose we didn't know, so let's log out from the screen, log out from, yeah, we are logged out. Let's go to sign up again. I'll clear the screen from here. Let's put like test as username, 123 as password. Login. This is the request, right? Post request is being sent with the username as test, password as 123. But in the response, if you see here, it is 302. It is redirecting us to the this location part. This is where it is redirecting us, because our, in the response it is saying that you must log in because these are not valid. So let's see how we can try to send different usernames and password, and maybe find valid credentials using intruder. So let's right click on this request, send it to intruder. Here it automatically, see, it automatically selected these two parts as dynamic. So if you want, you can keep it like this only, because we want to do it in the same way. If we had any other dynamic parts here, we would have to select that part and clear it. Okay, because we only want to change these two parts, like we want to send different users and different password to the website to find out which ones are the valid ones. Okay, under the sniper we are going to select cluster bomb. Okay, now first payload is our username, so we are going to mention under the payloads, under the payload set 1, we are going to put possible usernames. Okay, so let's put like admin could be a username, root could be a username, then suppose Tom could be a username, testing could be a username, and at last I'm putting the valid username. Okay, that is test actually, but we do not know, just assume we do not know that the test user is valid username. We have these 5 usernames, we don't know which one is a valid. Okay, then under the password second we have to put different passwords. So for that, what we will do, we will select the payload set 2 from here, and we will put different values here for the password section. So let's put like password could be password could be password 123, it could be 123 489, testing as well, and then at last test. Okay, now see how many counts we have here. Total request it is going to send 30. Why? Because under the first payload set we have mentioned 5 usernames, under the second payload set we have mentioned 6 passwords. So for every username it is going to try 6 passwords. That means 5 into 6 means 30 requests. Okay, now let's start our attack and let's see if we are able to find the valid credential. That should be test and test only. For others it shouldn't be responding with anything. So see, I will try to pause it, just a moment. Pause. I'm just pausing it for the time being. See, in the first request what it did, for the admin user it sent password. Second request it is sending, for the username root it is sending password. For the third request Tom, so for every username it is sending the password as first try, then it is sending password 123, right? So it will keep doing it, and you can see that for all of these requests you are getting 302, and also for all of these the response length is also same. That means that for all of these you are getting like you are being redirected to login screen, means your username and password is not valid, because there is no change in the response actually, right? There is no change in the status code, there is no change in the length of the response. What is the length actually? Whatever you get in the this whole length, right? This is the size of the response is length. So in every case you can see, right, even if I select the second request you see the same response. That's why the length is same. Suppose if we are being redirected to, like if our username and password is valid and we redirected to the like our profile section, then the response would be different and our length would be different as well. So looking at this data, we can find out whether something else happened or the same thing is happening, like whether we got logged in or not, right? So let me resume the attack and let's see how long it takes to complete it. One thing with the BurpSuite professional version, it's going to take it's going to be a lot quick, because there is a concept of threading, means it will put a lot of jobs to complete this part, so it will be completed within like 1 or 2 seconds. But here it tries one by one, keeping a gap of like I guess 1 second, something like that. So it takes time with the community version of BurpSuite. Still we have not found the valid username. Why? Because that test as username and test as password is not tried yet by BurpSuite. Okay, it will come at the last only, I guess, because we put it at last in both the payload set 1 and payload set 2. See, here I will now pause it because we do not have to go forward. See, uh, okay, okay, no, it didn't work actually. Even though it sent us a 200, when we tried admin as username and test as our password, it sent 200, but it shouldn't be doing it, because there are multiple bugs on this website. But this is a false positive actually. This is not. I guess let's see whether it is valid or not. If we put admin and test, let's see if we get something. See, we didn't get in, so it is a false positive. What it means, that even though it is saying that yeah we got a 200, okay, it is a false, so that's why it is a false positive. Okay, so just remember that term as well. Now again resume it. I guess we are almost done. Yeah, see the last request, that is with the username test, like in payload 1 we have username, payload 2 our password. For that you got 200, and you can see the response is a lot bigger. 6211 means a lot of data is there in the response. You can see a lot of HTML code and everything is there, right? Why is that? Because we got logged in, because these were the valid credentials. How we can verify it now? We can try to log in directly here, and you will see that we got logged in. So that this page HTML code is this whole thing is the HTML code once we get logged in. So even if you try to render this response here, you will see that when you send test and test, you get logged in. So this is how you can use Intruder to brute force login panels as well. Okay, now there are other advanced options as well. Maybe in future when we are trying to look for bugs, we will try to explore that, like this payload processing and payload encoding, all these kind of things. But for the time being, for the normal use, you can keep it like this only. No need to change anything. Main part is this one. In future, yeah, definitely we will have to use it to complete or like find bugs. Okay. One another thing, under the payload type, by default it is always simple list, but using that simple list, you can put like whatever you want to put. Okay, it would be like words or strings or numbers like that. But suppose you have to like send this part, like you have to put in the first request, you have to send 1 as a payload, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, right? You have to put these values up to 100. Okay, now what one way of doing it is like putting it all these values in a notepad, and then copying it and like pasting it here, right? But that's also like a lot of physical work, right? So what you can do, there is an option of a different payload type is here. If you go to select the payload type, you have numbers. Under numbers, what you can do, you have to start from where? You have to start from 1, you have to go till 100. The step means what is the difference between each request. So step means like from 1 where do we want to go, like from 1 we want to go to 2, right? So that's why the step would be like difference between each request. So that is 1 only. Now suppose if in the same case we had to send like 1 then 3 then 7, my bad, 5 then 7 then 9 then 11, right? In that case you would put the step as 2, because after 1 it will add 2, then comes to 3, then adds 2 more, like that it will keep doing it until it reaches to 100. Okay, like reaches to the limit of 100. Like it will stop actually at 99, I guess, because 100, like even it's going to be uneven number only, odd number only, right? Because if we add 2 to an what to say, odd number, you will always get odd numbers only, so it will stop at once it gets to 99 it will stop. Okay, how many you don't have to mention, So right now, see, because we have selected our what is the attack type, cluster bomb, that's why we were getting so many payloads there. Let's go back to our sniper type here only, and let's, no, not here. Let's move on to our previous request where we were searching for different terms, right? This part we added manually, so I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to move on to the sniper attack only now, because I just want to move like send different numbers in this testing place. So again, this part is dynamic. I will go to payloads. In the payloads, I'm not going to use simple list. I want to send numbers, so I will select the numbers part here. Here I'm going to put 1, from 1 to 100. Step would be 1, like 1 2 3 4, like that. And you can see, right, we have 100 payloads now, so we didn't have to put all these in a file and copy and paste here. We can configure it here itself. So now from 1 to 100 we have 100 payloads. If we start attacking it, you will see that in each search term it is sending 1, then it is sending 2, it is sending 3, it is sending 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like this. Okay, so yeah, this part I just wanted to mention, that apart from simple list that you can put or paste manually, you can use the numbers part as well. There are other payload types as well, but we will not be like referring to those as of now, because it's a bit advanced on, and it would be much easier to understand it once we have a valid bug or a valid lab where I can explain why we are using other payload types. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today. Thanks everyone.